Mike Howell, battered and chained to a chair in a CIA holding room, feels the weight of his predicament as an agent contemplates where to begin the questioning. Just 3 days prior, in West Virginia, Mike was leading an ordinary stoner life with his girlfriend Phoebe, cherishing dreams of a future together. He had even bought an engagement ring and meticulously planned a romantic getaway to propose. However, their plans unraveled when they missed their flight. Mike's severe panic attack struck again, leaving him incapacitated and sick in the bathroom. As they drove home, he offered heartfelt apologies, but Phoebe reassured him that it was okay. Despite her kindness, Mike was plagued by self-doubt, questioning why she would tolerate his struggles. Their date took a turn for the worse when a police officer, Sheriff Watts, pulled them over. Knowing Mike's history with anxiety, Watts chose to mock him rather than provide any legitimate reason for the stop. Phoebe, frustrated by the encounter, asked why they were being detained, but Watts warned her to adjust her attitude or face a night in jail. With no real cause for the stop, he eventually let them go. Back at home, Mike noticed Phoebe's disappointment over their missed trip and attempted to lift her spirits by playing her favorite song and revealing the engagement ring. Unfortunately, his moment of romance was thwarted when he inadvertently burned her hand while tending to something on the stove. The following day, undeterred by the pouring rain, Mike reported for his shift at the local convenience store. After stocking shelves and tidying up, he immersed himself in his passion for drawing comics featuring his characters, Apollo Ape and Chip the Brick, sharing his creative ideas with Phoebe whenever he could. During a break outside to change the sign and sneak a smoke, an orbiting satellite identified him as a target connected to the Ultra program. Meanwhile, in Langley, CIA agent Victoria Lassiter received a coded communication. Mike was to be eliminated within 24 hours under strict protocol, and she was instructed not to intervene. Lassiter insists that they made a commitment to protect Mike, but her pleas fall on deaf ears as the caller abruptly hangs up. Meanwhile, under the vast expanse of stars, Mike and Phoebe lie on the hood of their car, immersed in a world of dreams as he shares an exciting new idea for his comic. Phoebe's eyes light up with enthusiasm, encouraging him to bring his vision to life. However, the night takes a somber turn when emergency services are seen extracting a wrecked car from a ditch nearby. As they talk, Mike becomes overwhelmed with emotion, tears streaming down his face as he confesses his fear of holding Phoebe back from pursuing her own happiness. She wraps him in her arms, reassuring him with unwavering love. Later that night, nestled in bed, Mike expresses his remorse for missing their planned trip, while Phoebe acknowledges her own overreactions, tenderly reminding him that he is the best thing that has ever happened to her. Yet, Lassiter can't shake the weight of what she overheard and storms into a meeting with her colleague, Agent Adrian Yates. The tension is palpable as they reveal their competing agendas. Lassiter heads the Wiseman program, while Yates oversees the current Tough Guy program, both of which are implicated in the decision to eliminate Mike, the last surviving member of a program that Lassiter had previously shut down. Conflicted, she questions Yates's motives, but he coldly explains that Mike's repeated attempts to leave town have made him a target under protocol. Lassiter vehemently opposes this course of action, yet Yates asserts his authority, ordering her to leave his office. The next morning, Mike rises early with a sense of purpose, eager to meet his friend Rose to purchase fireworks for his proposal. Later at work, Lassiter enters the store and approaches him with urgency. She attempts to reactivate him using coded phrases, but her efforts appear futile as Mike remains unresponsive. Frustrated but determined, she repeats the code until a flicker of recognition sparks within Mike's mind, though he still shows no visible signs of awareness. Apologizing for her intrusion, Lassiter leaves, exasperated. As the day unfolds, Mike finds himself in the kitchen preparing noodles when he spots two men loitering suspiciously around his car in the parking lot. Confronting them escalates quickly. When one brandishes a knife, something primal awakens within Mike. In an explosive moment of self-defense, he taps into lethal skills he never knew he possessed and kills both men in an instant. Shaken and panicked, he calls Phoebe, breathlessly confessing that he has just taken 2 lives, one of them with nothing more than a spoon. When Phoebe arrives, confusion and concern wash over her as she struggles to comprehend the chaos that has unfolded before her eyes. As they grapple with their next steps, Sheriff Watts arrives at the scene, intensifying the tension. Meanwhile, Yates receives alarming news that 2 of his operatives have been eliminated by Mike using nothing but a spoon. Suspecting that Lassiter has activated Mike's latent abilities, he swiftly orders a lockdown of the town. With Mike and Phoebe in custody, Yates escalates the situation by commanding an assault on the police station. Soon, 2 formidable assets, Crane and Laffer, storm in, ready to wreak havoc. Inside the station, Mike confides in Phoebe about Lassiter and the cryptic words she shared with him, revealing that he can now vividly recall every detail from the past 94 minutes. Sheriff Watts interrogates them, pressing whether Mike is responsible for the deaths. Phoebe interjects, asserting that it was an act of self-defense. Watts raises an eyebrow, questioning if she's now taking on the role of Mike's legal counsel. Suddenly, the station plunges into darkness as power is lost, and Watts is alerted to a critical issue. A deputy escorts Mike and Phoebe to a cell just as Crane opens fire on the officers, sending them scattering in panic. Watts and another deputy seek refuge in a nearby room to strategize against Crane's assault. In the chaos, Laffer targets Mike, fatally shooting the deputy assigned to guard him. Phoebe bravely disarms Laffer but is violently thrown aside. As Laffer turns his aggression toward Mike, a fierce struggle ensues, allowing Mike and Phoebe to break free from their cell and lock Laffer inside. Tragically, Watts and the other deputy are caught in Crane's crossfire and fall victim to her ruthless attack. As she prepares to finish off Watts, her attention shifts to Mike and Phoebe making their escape. She opens fire on them, but in a desperate move, Watts manages to cuff her leg to a chair. In a final act of desperation, she hurls a grenade at Mike, who instinctively throws it back into the station, triggering a massive explosion. With the dust settling, Mike confronts Crane and delivers a decisive blow that ends her threat once and for all. Meanwhile, Lassiter reaches out to Yates, who has locked down the town's only exit under the pretense of a viral outbreak. He informs her of his 2 dead assets, but she vows to put an end to his plans. As tensions rise, Phoebe expresses her desire to flee the town, but Mike reminds her of his precarious condition. In a moment of panic, Phoebe begins to unravel, but Mike reassures her that they will escape in his car, only for it to explode unexpectedly as Laffer and Crane had planted bombs earlier, shattering their hopes of escape and plunging them deeper into chaos. Lassiter arrives at the bombed-out police station, her heart sinking as she discovers Crane's lifeless body. Determined to uncover the truth, she reaches out to her former assistant, Agent Petey, to inform him of Yates' sinister plan. Yet, a nagging sense of unease grips her. The strongman assets are making too much noise, and she suspects something is amiss with Yates' recruitment methods. She urgently requests an airdrop of weapons to specific coordinates, but Petey hesitates, reluctant to assist. In a moment of desperation, Lassiter implores him for help, revealing that Yates intends to ensnare her within the town and eliminate her. Meanwhile, Mike and Phoebe make their way to Rose's home in Phoebe's car. As they drive, Mike is suddenly bombarded by fragmented flashes of his childhood memories, leaving him disoriented and questioning his identity. He finds himself unnervingly knowledgeable about firearms and explosives, leading him to speculate whether he might be a robot programmed for violence. Just then, Rose bursts out from hiding, wearing a mask and visibly paranoid, having heard unsettling rumors circulating in the area. Yates descends upon the town via helicopter, his strongman assets waiting in a truck like mechanical sentinels. Among them stands Laffer, who survived the explosion and gleefully displays the teeth Mike knocked out in their earlier confrontation. Rose frees Mike from his cuffs but expresses concern that whatever danger he is fleeing might soon follow him to her home. They are soon joined by 2 other men, Big Harold and Quinson, whom Mike recognizes from fantasy football leagues. Rose informs them of a viral outbreak that has locked down the entire town, showing them a news report that sends chills down their spines. The broadcast identifies Mike and Lassiter as the outbreak's sources, with Lassiter's name linked to scandalous allegations of inappropriate contact with monkeys. The atmosphere thickens with tension as Mike grows increasingly agitated, demanding clarity about their predicament. In a panic, he tries to explain the situation, but Rose misinterprets his anxiety as signs of infection and pulls a gun on him. In a flash of instinct, Mike disarms Rose but then hands the weapon back with an apology, seeking to de-escalate the situation. Rose leads them into the basement, locking them inside what turns out to be an unexpected disco club. Meanwhile, Lassiter successfully receives her airdrop from Petey, along with files detailing Yates' recruitment of mentally unstable individuals as strongmen. The pieces of a larger puzzle begin to fall into place as she realizes the true extent of Yates' dangerous game. Yates contacts Petey, having learned about the supply drop, and issues a chilling warning about the treasonous nature of his actions, reminding him of the severe consequences that await betrayal. He instructs Petey to cease any further interference before abruptly hanging up. Moments later, Lassiter reaches out to Petey, urgently seeking his assistance to expose the truth, but fear grips him, and he declines to help her any longer. Meanwhile, Phoebe discovers a potential escape route through the ceiling, but Mike insists they should remain where they are. He is searching for the right moment to propose to her. Unbeknownst to them, Yates has pinpointed Mike's location and decides to deploy Newton, Bourbon, and Laffer, utilizing gas as a deadly weapon. The assassins unleash a gas attack on Rose's home, leading to a brutal confrontation where Rose, Quinson, and Big Harold are killed by gunfire. An assassin targets Mike, who fiercely fights back, ultimately overpowering his attacker. In the chaos, Phoebe seizes the opportunity to grab the assassin's gas mask and escape with Mike, shooting and killing the assailant in the process. However, Mike is severely affected by the gas and begins to lose consciousness. Phoebe fights to keep him awake, demonstrating her knowledge of the gas and quickly administering an antidote. Desperate to prevent him from succumbing to sleep, knowing it could be fatal, she pushes him to stay alert. As Mike drifts in and out of awareness, he experiences vivid memories of moments with Phoebe that he never truly lived, stirring confusion within him. When he finally regains full consciousness, he demands answers about her familiarity with the gas and the truth of his own situation. A panicked Phoebe reluctantly reveals her true identity. She is Mike's CIA handler, assigned to him 5 years ago. Shocked and betrayed, Mike struggles to process this revelation and bolts toward the car, while Phoebe rushes after him, desperate to clarify her intentions. He refuses to accept her explanation, feeling that all his emotions have been built on deception. Just as Phoebe insists she is being truthful, disaster strikes when their car is violently rammed from behind, flipping it onto its roof. It's Laffer, who drags Phoebe out of the vehicle and grips her throat menacingly. He coldly informs her that he has orders to bring her in alive before knocking her unconscious. Turning his attention to Mike, he delivers a menacing warning of impending harm. With cruel determination, Laffer drags Phoebe away and douses the car in gasoline while Mike remains trapped inside. As flames begin to engulf the vehicle, Lassiter stealthily approaches Mike, ready to intervene in this escalating nightmare. Laffer stirs Phoebe awake just in time for them to witness the car explode in a fiery eruption. As he drags her back to Yates, he can't help but question the legitimacy of Yates's authority over these operations. Yates coldly informs her that she has been out of the loop for 5 years, reminding her that her boyfriend was a product of the CIA's machinations and that she sacrificed her career to be with him, a fabricated illusion. With Mike now dead, Phoebe finds herself under departmental arrest, and Yates relishes the prospect of advancing his own career at her expense. Meanwhile, Lassiter has miraculously saved Mike's life. When she asks if he recognizes her, Mike jokingly wonders if she could be his mother, but she quickly dismisses the notion. Instead, she reveals a dark chapter from his past. At 18, Mike was arrested for drug possession, and it was then that she approached him to recruit him into the CIA's Wiseman experiment program. Out of all the recruits, Mike was the only one who succeeded, yet the experiment began to unravel his sanity. To protect him, Lassiter made the difficult decision to shut down the program, erase his memories, and grant him a fresh start. Mike struggles with this revelation, believing they've irreparably damaged his mind. Lassiter counters that his panic attacks and moments of confusion were intentionally embedded safeguards meant to protect him. Just then, an elderly man nearby spots them and accuses Lassiter of misconduct, promptly alerting the authorities. Yates, furious at this unexpected complication while he attempts to delete Mike's file, contacts Petey with an urgent order to deploy a drone to their location. As Phoebe tries to flee, she is swiftly captured. With the drone en route, Yates also dispatches his military liaison, Otis, along with strongman Beetle, to Mike's home. In a state of denial, Mike resolves to return home and get high, despite Lassiter's attempts to reason with him. As he lights up, she stands guard with her rifle, reminding him that Phoebe was meant to return to the CIA after helping him settle in. Instead, she sacrificed everything for him because she always believed in his potential. In a sudden turn of events, Beetle attacks Lassiter, but Mike intervenes, shoving Beetle out of the window. Otis bursts in, guns blazing, reporting back to Yates as he calls for a drone strike on their location. Chaos ensues as Otis continues his assault on Mike while Beetle re-enters the house, escalating the danger surrounding them all. The two conspirators lay in wait to ambush Mike, but Lassiter decisively eliminates Beetle. The drone looms dangerously close, and Yates issues the command for an attack, yet Petey hesitates, unable to pull the trigger. As Otis continues to unleash gunfire while pinning Mike down, Mike's gaze lands on a frying pan. With a calculated toss, he aims for Otis, envisioning the trajectory that could turn the tide. Petey, gripped by panic and aware of the consequences he faces, refuses to engage the drone, which glides past ominously. In a desperate move, he reaches out to Yates's superior, Mr. Kruger, who swiftly boards his private jet. Meanwhile, Yates finds himself abandoned by his support team, all ordered to evacuate the town. Yates then contacts Mike, who cynically inquires if Yates is calling to surrender. Instead, Yates coldly reveals that he is Phoebe and demands Mike's presence at a local store if he wishes to see her again. Torn between fear and love for Phoebe, Mike hesitates until Yates puts her on the phone. Phoebe's heartfelt apology and declaration of love pierce through his uncertainty as she urges him to flee. But before she can say more, Yates abruptly ends the call. Resolute now to save Phoebe, Mike seizes a stash of fireworks. As Yates deploys his henchmen, Mike makes a bold entrance in Otis's Jeep, igniting fireworks as a distraction. In the chaos, Yates's men grab Phoebe and retreat into a store just as Mike crashes in. He picks up the store phone to reassure Phoebe of his love and that this nightmare will soon end. Gunfire erupts around him, forcing him to defend himself with whatever he can find in the store. Despite sustaining a stab wound to his stomach and a grazing bullet to his head, Mike pushes through the pain, using fireworks to create confusion and take down his attackers. With only Laffer remaining, Yates commands him to finish off Mike while escaping with Phoebe. She fights back against Yates but is overpowered. In a desperate act of ingenuity, Phoebe unlocks her cuffs with a paperclip and turns on Yates. Meanwhile, Laffer seeks out Mike for a conversation, but their encounter quickly escalates into a brutal fight where both men end up injuring each other before Mike narrowly escapes gunfire. Yates attempts to flee with Phoebe but is confronted by Lassiter, who launches an attack on him. In the ensuing chaos, Mike manages to subdue Laffer and holds him at gunpoint. Laffer admits he is not in control of his actions due to manipulation from others, prompting Mike to recognize their shared humanity and spare his life. Lassiter is in the midst of choking Yates when Mr. Kruger intervenes, halting the violence. As Phoebe crawls towards a weakened Mike, they support each other in their escape from the store. Outside, they find themselves surrounded by law enforcement, weapons drawn. In a moment of vulnerability and love, Mike drops to one knee and proposes to Phoebe. She joyfully accepts. However, their celebration is abruptly cut short as they are both tasered before they can share a kiss. Later, Kruger confronts Lassiter and Yates in the woods, forcing them to kneel. He reprimands Lassiter for her interference in a government operation that resulted in civilian casualties. Yates begins to gloat about his supposed success but is swiftly silenced when Kruger reveals that he had no authorization for his actions. Yates believes he would have received praise had the operation succeeded. Kruger concedes this notion before shooting him dead without hesitation. Lassiter pleads for her life as Kruger discloses that he was the one who initially tipped her off but cautioned her against interference. He insists that Mike remains too dangerous and must be eliminated. Lassiter counters by highlighting Mike's remarkable abilities, having single-handedly taken down 17 formidable assets, and urges Kruger to consider the potential benefits of such an agent. The narrative circles back to the beginning. Mike is being interrogated under Kruger's watchful eye, and it becomes evident that he is fully awakened from his past turmoil. 6 months later, we find Mike and Phoebe in Manila on a CIA mission when Mike is unexpectedly kidnapped by men in an elevator. Unbeknownst to him, Lassiter observes through security cameras with satisfaction. They have successfully lured him into their trap. As Mike is taken to a room filled with mocking adversaries who underestimate him due to his unarmed state, he scans his surroundings and prepares to unleash an unexpected attack using the everyday items at hand. Thank you for watching. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe for more recaps. Until next time, have a nice day.